Hi everyone, welcome back to Italian Consonants. In this video we will wrap up our consonants, and in the next video we will wrap up Italian by taking a look at our 10 sample words. So let's start off our consonants for this video with a sound that's pretty common in Italian, which is the k sound, just written with a K, k. And this sound has a couple different spellings in Italian, so let's take a look at it in terms of where it occurs in the word. If it happens at the beginning of a word, so it's the first sound you hear, the word starts with a k. In Italian, if it's at the beginning, there's really two ways to spell it, a C or a CH. So C or a CH. And it really isn't difficult to tell which one it is. First of all, the CH is going to precede the letter I. So if you know that the next vowel sound is going to be spelled with an I, you can be sure that it's going to be a CH before that. So again, that vowel sound that comes right after is really going to help. So CH is going to precedes the letter I. Now, we know that both I and E make the C soft. So we know that we can't have the I right after the C for the k sound, because then the C would be a soft C. It would make the s sound. So that's why we use CH. Now another thing is that there aren't any Italian words that start off with ke, the sound ke, like the k sound and then a short E sound. And we know short E is spelled E. So really, we're never going to see either a CE or a CHE in Italian, so we don't have to worry about that at all. So basically, only if there's an I, you're going to use a CH before that. Everything else is going to be a C. So otherwise, you can say otherwise C. So basically, it's with A, O, and U. Okay, so it's always going to be a vowel sound, and then depending on which one it is, you can always tell if it's a C or a CH. So let's take a look at some examples. With C, an example is cabretta. Cabretta. See, there's an A there, so we can use the C. And an example with I is Chitarino. CH used here because of the I. Chitarino. So again, we couldn't use a C here because that would make it Cedarino. Now, one more thing to notice is that all the Romance languages, including Latin, so Latin, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, you've probably noticed a pattern that for the k sound, they never use K alone, because Latin really didn't have a letter, a K, so that's why we don't have to worry about K representing the k sound at all. So K is sort of out of the picture here. So in the beginning, C or CH, pretty simple. Now let me go ahead and erase this, and we can look at what happens in the middle. It's slightly different in the middle. A couple more spellings. So if the k sound happens in the middle of a word, which it does in a lot of words, so if it's in the middle, let me write this. If it's in the middle, then there are basically four ways to spell it. Let's note each one. First is CC, then CH again, then CCH, and then just a C. Okay, so again, you can probably tell just by looking at this that, yeah, this sound does come up a lot in Italian because there are four different ways to spell it, but don't worry, we can figure out when to use each one. First of all, a CC is usually going to precede an A or an O. So if you know that the vowel sound after is going to be spelled with an A or an O, then use CC. So this is going to precede or come before, precede A and O. I'll just make a comma, A or O. Let me make this better. A or O. Okay, so CC is going to precede A or O most of the time. Similarly, CH is going to precede an I, just as we saw before, because we can't have we can't have it soft, so this is going to precede the letter I. So for example, if you hear the long E sound, which is E, and you know that's spelled with an I, you can know that if there's a k sound before that, it's going to be spelled with a CH. So CH is going to precede an I. The thing with CCH and C is that they are very rare. You're not going to see a lot of Italian words with this sound in the middle, or with the spelling in the middle for the K sound. CCH has about 18 spellings, so probably about 18 different words. Just 18, so that's not a lot. 18 words where it represents the K sound in Italian, so it would be best to do a search on the CD-ROM, Merriam-Webster, and find out all those 18 words that use CCH for K in Italian, and then, you could eliminate this as a spelling possibility because you know all the words that use it. Similarly, C is definitely, it's not very common, so not common. And it's very rare. The C is usually reserved for the beginning, so not common, pretty rare. So we don't have to worry about this too much, but you have to be on the lookout for Italian words that use C. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. Maybe that will help. With CC, there's a couple of words. Spiccato is one. Spiccato. See, there's an A right there, so that's why we know it's going to be a CC, because it precedes an A or an O. Similar example is attacca for CC. Let me just fit it here. Attacca. Again, there's an A after, so CC. And again, you would know if it's spelled with an A. It all depends on your vowel rules, and you can always go back and look at those to make sure you know how each vowel sound is spelled. Italian, the vowel rules are pretty simple in Italian, so that's also good for us, because if the vowel rules are simple and we know how to spell a certain sound, it just makes the consonant rules simple, because a lot of consonant rules they depend on the vowel sound. So again, because these two have A, it's going to be CC. Example with an O with CC would be piccolo. Let me write it up here. Piccolo. Here we have an O, so CC. So CC before A and O, and again, and I, if you have an I, you're going to have a CH. Example is Chitorino, which we just saw. So we can write that again, Chitorino. Okay, see, we have our I, and then we have CH because of that I. Now CCH, not that common, just 18 words. One of those 18 words is zucchini, a word we know, zucchini. So CCH for that. And then again, it would be best to learn those words, and then, you could totally eliminate that as a spelling possibility, except for those words that have it. And then C, not very common. An example is drammatico. Drammatico. Now maybe this has it right here because it's the ending eco. Also, you might recognize something similar to the word dramatic in here, which is, what that word has to do with. So if you notice any cognates, dramatic just has a C, so nothing fancy there, so just a C. Again, it's not very common, and at that point you would sort of have to know the word to understand, or to know if it has a C. And then CCH is not common. Just learn those 18 words, and then CH and CC should be pretty simple to figure out which one it is. Okay, so that's that governing the K sound, and now we can move on to another sound, which is sh, SH sound. And this is a very cool sound in Italian, pretty cool spelling. Okay, so the sound is sh, SH, sh. And in Italian, there's only one main way to spell it, and the main way is SC. So SC for the sh sound is the main way, And this is going to happen 99% of the time, so SC is the main way to spell it. And if there is any exception to this rule, which there aren't too many, it's CH. CH is very rarely used, so CH, it's very rare, very rare. The thing is that a lot of Italian words, passed through French before they became English, or even vice versa. A lot of French words maybe passed through Italian before becoming English. So CH, it's usually going to be in words that have been through French. So it's usually, and if you recall in the French videos, we stress the fact that the sh sound in French is going to be CH 99% of the time. So again, usually it's going to be if it passed through French, usually in words of French origin, and then because French and Italian are both Romance languages, they're very similar, a lot of words have passed through both. So make sure you ask for the origin. If a word, you ask for the language of origin of a word and they say Italian from French or French from Italian, you hear Italian, if there's French in there, then you might have to think about this twice. It might be CH. So usually in words of French origin. But if you don't hear French at all, you could go with SC and you would be fine. So let's look at some examples. With SC, strisciando is an example. Strisciando. See, SC for the sh sound. Another example is colashoni. Colashoni or colashone, either one. Again, SC for the sh sound. Okay, and CH, again, very rare. Example would be entrechat, because that's from French from Italian. So the origin says French from Italian, and that's why probably French changed it to CH, because in Italian it wasn't a CH. That's not the Italian way to spell it. But because this word has passed through French, it's going to be CH. Again, you might hear Italian in the origin, so just be wary of that. But it should be pretty simple to tell. Another example is Eustachian. Now this definitely hasn't passed through French, but it's someone's name. It comes from a name. So it's Italian, but you gotta watch out for those name words because really names could be spelled anyway. So this one has a CH for the sh, so then there's not a lot of name words anyway, so we don't have to worry about that too much. But again, keep an eye out for French words and for name words. Those are probably the only two categories in which CH could represent the sh sound. Otherwise, it's going to be an SC almost all the time. Okay, so that's that governing the sh sound. Pretty simple. Don't have to worry about that too much. You should always just really learn the main rule and then just look out for exceptions. And that's probably the best way to learn any sound, because then you'll have a sense that you know how to spell the majority and you know the minority, the words that are exceptions. So that's the best way to do it. Okay, next sound is a TS sound. Ts, it's pronounced ts, ts. And in Italian, a couple different rules. First of all, it's almost always ZZ. Almost, not quite. Almost always a double Z. This is again one of those sounds and spellings that make Italian different from other languages because they use their ZZs a lot. Like I mentioned at the very first video of Italian has a lot of double consonants, and ZZ is definitely one of them. So there's a lot of words with ZZ. And there are some with one Z. So one Z. Okay, I'll put that joke aside. But there are some words with just a single Z. So some with one Z. It's really fun to say one Z now. Some with one Z. So just Z. Okay. Mainly it's going to be ZZ. Sometimes it's going to be Z, and these are sort of the words you have to watch out for because you would sort of have to learn them. Definitely there's more with ZZ, but there are quite a handful with Z. So again, this is one of those you just have to know it kind of rule. Sometimes the alternate pronunciation can help, because if it's just spelled with a single Z, an alternate pronunciation might pronounce the TS as a Z, as just a Z sound. So then that would help you figure it out. Let's look at some examples. Maybe that'll clear it up. Almost always ZZ, like Bizzarro. Bizzarro. See? Double Z for the T sound. Bizzarro. Might recognize the word bizarre in there, so that those roots can definitely help, or those cognates. Another example is Pavonazzo. This is an O. Let me fix this. Pavonazzo. Pavonazzo. We've got double Z again. And there's a couple examples with one Z. A main one is conversazioni. Conversazioni. Probably see the cognate conversation in there, but just one Z for the TS sound. Also terzina is one. Terzina. And another one is donzella. Donzella. The thing with the word donzella is its other pronunciation is donzella, which again is what I was talking about before, that the alternate pronunciation can help you figure out if it's one Z because donzella would help you figure out it's one Z instead of two. And also you could just rely on your sense of what looks right. Like maybe in this word two Z's wouldn't look too right. Here, let me write it out. Terzina, like that, doesn't look too balanced, So that's definitely not right. So again, you can rely on that sense also. That will help a lot of the time. So most of the time ZZ, sometimes one Z, and you would just have to know the words, in that case. Again, the alternate pronunciations might help, and as we saw here, the roots, the cognates might help. So it shouldn't be too bad, but just make sure you know the ones with one Z, and then pretty much everything else will be double Z. Okay. So our next sound is pretty similar. It is the Z sound, the Z sound. And we've already looked at one spelling, which is just Z. But there are a couple other spellings. So the sound is Z, Z. And mostly it's actually going to be spelled with an S in Italian. Mostly it's going to be an S. And there's this thing in Italian where a lot of words start with the letter S and they're pronounced as a Z. And this is because the root S, just S, the prefix S in Italian is similar to the English prefix X, EX, meaning out. So you're going to see that in a lot of words. So it could be at beginning, could be at beginning, like at the very beginning of the word. That happens in Italian. Also, it could be in the middle. So in middle too. In middle as well. So S is mostly how we're going to spell the Z sound, and we know the other spelling is just going to be Z. It could be just a Z. And again, you would just sort of have to know those words to figure it out. A lot of times, just what we saw, the reverse is going to be true. If you ask for the alternate pronunciation, and there's a pronunciation with a TS sound, the TS sound, the sound we just saw before this, then you can be sure it's going to be a Z, not an S. So, Z really represents both the Z sound and the T sound. So, that's sort of one way to figure it out. Let's look at some examples. That'll definitely help. So it could be at the beginning, like zdruchala, zdruchala. Very Italian looking word. S at the beginning, meaning out. And then sgraffito is another one. Sgraffito is another one. So you have the S at the beginning for the Z sound, but it could be in the middle as well, like divisi. Divisi. Now in this word, it sort of highlights how the roots can help and the Latin, origin can help because it comes from the Latin divisus, meaning you can probably see the word divide in there, or division, and that's going to be an S. So that's one way you can figure out this is going to be an S, but it's pronounced as a Z, divisi. So again, those roots and cognates can definitely help, so you can definitely rely on those. But if you don't recognize any roots or cognates, mostly it's going to be an S if you have no idea, but it could be a Z, like zecchino. Zecchino. Now this word is also pronounced tsecchino with a TS sound at the beginning, so that might help to figure out that it's a Z, not an S. Another example is credenza. Credenza. Okay, and here it's a Z. Now again, if you tried to imagine this word with an S here, it looks like it'd be pronounced credenza, credenza, because usually when the S precedes an I, it makes sense as a Z sound, but usually when it precedes an A, it doesn't really make sense as a Z sound. So again, those vowels can help. So if it's before an I, go ahead with an S, you'll be fine, but if it's before an A or an O, I think Z is a better option because that makes more sense, because here S it would be just pronounced as sa. It'd be credenza. So again, you can use that. So there's many ways to figure it out. Alternate pronunciations, roots, cognates, these vowel rules, and definitely your sense of logic. So many ways to figure it out, so it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so that's the Z sound. Okay, and this sound isn't, it's very common in Italian, but it's definitely not like the most common, so it's best to just learn the words with that sound in Italian. Okay, and our final sound, final consonant sound is NY. It's written like this, NY, and it's pronounced nya, nya. And this is a sound that is present in a lot of Romance languages, like Spanish, definitely, and Portuguese. So the nya sound, we always hear it. In Spanish, it's represented by just an N, the N with a little tilde on top, like this, like that. That's Spanish, but in Italian, it's going to be always GN. And yay, we have an always, so no exceptions, always GN. That's another fancy spelling of Italian, always GN. Um, GN is the G is going to be silent definitely for the nya sound. So again, watch out for that. If you hear the NY, you can be sure it's going to be a GN though. So example is Monsignor, Monsignor. So you have the nya there, so we have GN, Monsignor. Also Machinio, Machinio, GN there. So then there's many words. There are a lot of examples with the GN for the nya sound. So this could go on forever, but whenever you hear the nya sound, which is going to be GN, no exception. So it's a good way to finish up our consonants. A very simple rule. It's going to work 100% of the time. Okay, so that concludes our consonants. And in the next video, we will finish up Italian by looking at our 10 words.